Think every dusty relic in a museum is automatically real? This video, 33 fake ancient artifacts people swore were real, might change that. We'll dig into fake ancient artifacts that fooled experts, collectors, and whole countries. Some ancient treasures were carved in garages, yet people swore they were real. You'll hear how holy relics, fossils, and artifacts collapsed under modern tests. We'll follow the trail from backroom dealers to world-famous glass cases, and we'll see how badly people want ancient stories to be real. By the end, every museum label will feel just a bit suspicious. So, ready to find out which legendary artifacts are actually clever modern fakes? Piltdown Man fossil that fooled the world for decades. For half a century, Piltdown Man was Britain's proudest ancestor. In early 20th century Sussex, amateur antiquarian Charles Dawson announced he presented a human-like skull with an ape-like lower jaw. British scientists, eager for a native fossil hero, warmly embraced it. Museum displays and school books treated Piltdown Man like evolutionary. Only later did critics quietly note the strange mix of features. In the 1950s, chemical tests finally broke the spell. The skull proved medieval, the jaw from an orangutan, teeth filed. Piltdown Man turned from treasure into textbook example of wishful thinking. 2. Crystal skulls marketed as mysterious ancient Mayan power relics. Glittering crystal skulls promised mystical Mayan wisdom. They delivered modern handiwork. In the late 1800s, dealers began selling them across Europe. They were said to come from Mexico or Guatemala temple ruins. Stories added curses, healing powers, and secret prophecies encoded in quartz. The British Museum and Smithsonian eventually acquired especially famous crystal skulls. Under microscopes, experts noticed telltale scratches from modern rotary tools. Natural weathering from ancient burial was completely missing on their surfaces. Chemical tests even suggested the quartz likely came from European sources. Today they shine more as cautionary tales than sacred artifacts. 3. Vinland map claiming Viking America revealed as modern forgery. A single map once promised to rewrite everything about European discovery. The so-called Vinland map surfaced in the 1960s at Yale. It showed Greenland as an island in a western landmass labeled Vinland. That seemed like smoking gun evidence that Vikings mapped North America centuries earlier. Scholars argued fiercely over its parchment, ink, and mysterious provenance. Chemical analysis eventually detected modern pigments, including titanium-based compounds. Those pigments simply did not exist in genuine medieval scriptoria. The parchment itself seemed older, but the drawing clearly was not. Instead of proving Viking cartographers, the Vinland map exposed modern wishful cartography. 4. Cardiff giant petrified biblical giant unearthed in New York. In 19th century New York, farmers uncovered a 10-foot giant. Crowds paid admission, convinced they were seeing a petrified biblical man. Some preachers even link him to the Old Testament giants. Behind the scenes, cigar maker George Hull had planned everything carefully. He hired sculptors to carve gypsum, then secretly buried the statue. Soil stains and carefully chiseled pores fooled many visiting scientists initially. Eventually, geologists noticed tool marks and impossibly fresh features on stone. 5. Kensington Runestone, Minnesota Viking carving, now considered 19th century. On a Minnesota farm, a tangled tree root revealed a carved stone. Its runic inscription described Norse explorers traveling deep into the continent. The text even mentioned a deadly attack that left companions dead. Local boosters happily promoted it as proof Vikings reached Minnesota first. Linguists, however, found grammar and vocabulary suspiciously modern for medieval travelers. Some rune forms matched 19th century Swedish textbooks more than ancient inscriptions. Geologists also questioned whether the weathering fit its supposed medieval age. Today, most researchers class it as a clever local 19th century creation. 6. James Ossuary Bone Box, naming Jesus' brother James contested. A small limestone box briefly threatened to rewrite Christian family history. The James ossuary surfaced on the Israeli antiquities market in 2000s. Its Aramaic inscription mentioned James, son of Joseph, brother of Jesus. If genuine, that line could be earliest archaeological reference to Jesus. Scholars studied letter shapes, patina crusts, and the box's reported history. Authorities in Israel accused owner Oded Golan of forging inscription details. A long trial followed, with experts clashing over chemistry and lettering. Golan was eventually acquitted of forgery, but doubts stubbornly remained. Most historians treat the ossuary cautiously, separating ancient box from controversial words. 7. Archaeoraptor dinosaur, fossil Frankenstein, assembled from several different species. For a moment, Archaeoraptor looked like evolution's perfect missing puzzle piece. In the late 1990s, a fossil arrived from China's Liaoning province. It appeared to show a feathered dinosaur with a bird-like tail. A popular magazine featured it proudly as a key transitional species. Paleontologists began noticing odd breaks where pieces of bone seemed mismatched. Scans eventually revealed a chimera, front half and tail from different creatures. Fossil hunters in China had glued parts together to increase value. Embarrassed researchers had to withdraw dramatic claims and issue corrections. 8. Koso artifacts supposed ancient machine found around a spark plug. A routine rock hunting trip accidentally sparked one of fringe archaeology's favorites. In 1961, collectors near Alancha, California, found a strange geode. Inside the concretion, X-rays showed a metal core with threads. Stories quickly claimed it was a machine part millions of years old. Supporters argued no modern object could be sealed in ancient rock. Engineers eventually noted it resembled a standard 20s-era Champion spark plug. The geode looked more like hardened clay and mineral buildup. Natural concretions can form surprisingly fast around dropped objects in certain soils. The Koso artifact still circulates online, long after being demystified. 9. Acambaro dinosaur figurines used to claim humans rode dinosaurs. In central Mexico, one man supposedly dug up thousands of dinosaurs. In the 1940s, Waldemar Julesrud reported finding clay figurines near Acambaro. His collection showed humans riding sauropods and posing with stegosaur lookalikes. Creationist writers later used them to argue humans saw living dinosaurs. Archaeologists noted the clay looked fresh, with little genuine burial damage. Local potters reportedly admitted making pieces on commission for Julesrud's workers. The style mixes cartoonish dinosaurs with oddly modern-looking humans and animals. No controlled excavation has ever confirmed ancient layers containing such figurines. Despite that, photographs of Acambaro dinosaurs still roam pamphlets and websites. 10. Ica stones of Peru carved with surgery and dinosaurs. On Peruvian desert farms, smooth black stones supposedly revealed impossible memories. In the 1960s, Dr. Javier Cabrera began collecting engraved Ica stones. The drawings showed heart transplants, telescopes, and humans riding dinosaurs. Cabrera argued they recorded a lost, advanced civilization predating known history. Peruvian authorities quickly pointed out the stones came from local farmers. Some farmers cheerfully demonstrated carving techniques, using dentists' drills on river pebbles. The supposedly ancient patina could be faked with shoe polish and grit. No archaeological dig has ever found similar stones in secure contexts. Yet their wild imagery still circulates whenever dinosaurs and humans get mixed. 11. Glozell tablets and bones that bitterly divided archaeologists for years. A French plowboy's discovery turned one quiet field into academic battleground. In 1924, Emile Ferdin found bones and inscribed clay near Glozell. The symbols looked unlike standard scripts, stirring dreams of unknown European civilizations. Some visiting archaeologists hailed them as revolutionary. Others shouted forgery immediately. Accusations flew, including claims officials mishandled digs to discredit the farmer. Laboratories tested pieces and returned dates ranging from prehistoric to medieval. Critics argued that mixing genuine ancient bones with new tablets was likely. Supporters pointed to handwriting analysis and stories of hostile professional jealousy. Decades later, Glozell still sits between clumsy excavation and crafty forgery. 12. Michigan relics, copper tablets, and idols forged as ancient native writings. Michigan once seemed packed with mysterious tablets proving a lost civilization. In the late 1800s, James Scotford began finding artifacts in mounds. They included copper plates, clay tablets, and odd idols with strange characters. Supporters claim they recorded Old World languages buried deep in American heartland. Scotford teamed up with amateur historian Daniel Soper to promote discoveries. Professional archaeologists noticed clumsy manufacturing, fresh tool marks, and invented writing systems. Some tablets even copied illustrations straight from contemporary Bible reference books. Under pressure, a relative later admitted Scotford had fabricated relics for profit. Even so, copies still appear today, stripped of their hoax backstory. 13. Back Creek Stone, Tennessee tablet, once touted as ancient Hebrew. A small stone from Tennessee briefly carried huge hopes for biblical connections. In 1889, a Smithsonian excavator uncovered it in a Cherokee mound. The inscription first looked like local symbols, then someone flipped it. Suddenly, enthusiasts claimed it resembled ancient Hebrew letters from the Mediterranean. Writers used it as evidence Israelites reached North America long ago. Scholars later compared the carving to a 19th century reference illustration. The sequence of characters matched that book almost exactly, including mistakes. Tool marks and context also fit a modern carving planted during excavation. Today, the Back Creek stone sits as artifacts of 19th century bias. 14. Los Lunas Decalogue Stone, 10 Commandments carved in desert rock. Outside Los Lunas, New Mexico, a hillside boulder carries controversial commandments. Its long inscription resembles an abbreviated version of the 10 Commandments. Some readers claim the letters are an ancient form of Hebrew. Stories grew that early Israelites, or Phoenicians, reached the southwest desert. However, the stone's modern discovery history is murky and poorly documented. Some locals remember teenagers and enthusiasts visiting and copying the strange writing. Linguists note letter forms that match modern textbooks more than ancient inscriptions. Weathering studies also suggest the carving may be only decades old. Despite doubts, the Los Lunas stone keeps attracting road trippers and theories. 15. Newark Holy Stones conveniently found Hebrew tablets in Ohio mounds. Ohio's ancient earthworks briefly appeared to hide direct links to Jerusalem. In the 1860s, several inscribed stones emerged from mounds near Newark. One bore a figure labeled Moses, another carried long Hebrew texts. They conveniently supported then-popular ideas that native mounds came from Israelites. The main finder, David Wyrick, had strong beliefs about biblical migration. Experts questioned the grammar and noted the stones lacked proper burial weathering. Some characters copied letter forms only standardized in relatively modern Hebrew scripts. Wyrick later suffered a breakdown, and many colleagues suspected self-fabrication. Today, the Newark Holy Stones sit as artifacts of 19th century bias. 16. Tiara of Saitaphernes, glittering royal crown that tricked the Louvre. Even the Louvre, stuffed with masterpieces, once bought a glittering fake. In the 1890s, dealers offered a gold tiara to curators. They claimed it belonged to Scythian king Saitaphernes, from ancient Crimea. The tiara showed tiny scenes, Greek-style warriors, and decorative inscriptions. Excited curators proudly displayed it as a rare royal treasure. Soon, experts noticed odd stylistic mixtures and suspiciously fresh tool marks. A goldsmith from Odessa, Israel Rushamovsky, eventually admitted crafting the tiara. He had reportedly made it as a showpiece, not deliberate forgery. The museum had to confess, turning a prized crown into cautionary exhibit. 17. Etruscan terracotta warriors. At Major Museum, sculpted by modern forgers. New York's Metropolitan Museum once stood proudly behind 3 towering Etruscan warriors. Acquired in the early 1900s, they seemed perfect ancient showpieces. The statues had heroic poses, helmets, and shields straight from textbooks. For decades, visitors admired them without suspecting anything seriously wrong. Then stylistic analysis suggested the sculpting borrowed heavily from modern art. Experts realized the clay had been fired at unusually high temperatures. Investigations eventually linked the pieces to Italian forger Alfredo Fioravanti. He even described assembling broken sections with rods and modern materials inside. The museum relabeled them, admitting even experts can misread freshly fired terracotta. 18. Japanese Paleolithic stone tools hoax that rewrote prehistory briefly. For a while, Japan's prehistory looked suddenly much older overnight. Amateur archaeologist Shinichi Fujimura kept finding stone tools in very deep layers. His discoveries pushed Japan's human timeline back tens of thousands of years. Newspaper headlines celebrated him with nicknames like God's Hand Archaeologist. Then a Japanese magazine filmed Fujimura secretly burying artifacts before excavations. The footage aired, and suddenly the miracle finds made perfect sense. Fujimura publicly confessed, saying he felt pressured to keep discovering. Archaeologists had to throw out carefully constructed timelines based on his sites. The scandal left Japan's Paleolithic research community painfully wary of spectacular claims. 19. Spirit Pond runestones in Maine claimed Vikings reached New England. On the Maine coast, 3 carved stones promised Viking exploration bragging rights. In 1971, Walter Elliott found them near a small pond. 2 stones bore runic text, another seemed to show a map. Supporters argued the inscriptions told of Norse sailors blown far southwest. Linguists noticed rune forms and spellings resembling modern instructional charts instead. The grammar did not match known medieval Norse texts from Greenland. Geologists could not firmly tie the stones to truly ancient weathering. Many researchers suspect a 20th century experiment by someone fascinated with runes. Still, Spirit Pond features in brochures whenever locals mention mysterious Maine history. 20. Heavener Runstone, Oklahoma. Cliff carving long promoted as Viking. Deep in Oklahoma hills, a vertical stone supposedly carried Viking graffiti. The Heavener Runstone stands on a wooded slope above a creek. Local stories claimed Norse explorers carved their presence long before Europeans colonized. Some interpreters even read the inscription as a specific person's name. Runologists, however, note the characters match modern teaching charts very closely. The carving style looks sharp, without the rounding ancient weathering usually causes. Some historians suggest a 19th century Scandinavian immigrant carved it for fun. Despite doubts, Oklahoma turned the site into a picturesque state park. Visitors still climb up, half hoping to spot genuine Viking breadcrumbs. 21. Burroughs cave tablets and artifacts created a completely imaginary empire. Few archaeological sites are more mysterious than one nobody else sees. In Illinois, Russell Burroughs claimed to discover a cave packed with artifacts. He described gold, carved stones, and portraits of supposed ancient visitors. The symbols mixed Greek-looking letters, Egyptian-style crowns, and Native American motifs. Burroughs refused to reveal the cave's exact location to independent archaeologists. Instead, he sold or showed artifacts one by one to believers. Experts who examined pieces saw casting flaws, tool marks, and gibberish inscriptions. Calaveras skull ancient human head found in California gold mine. During California's gold rush, one skull tried to move humanity backward. In 1866, miners reportedly found a human skull under thick lava. Geologists calculated those layers as hundreds of thousands of years old. That would put modern humans alongside mastodons and giant sloths in California. Some scientists accepted the find, while others smelled a practical joke. Years later, associates admitted miners had likely planted a skull. Chemical analysis suggested a relatively recent origin, not ancient fossilization. The story still pops up in debates about human antiquity myths. Meanwhile, The real fossils tell a very different timeline for California. 23. Moab Man skeleton claimed human buried among dinosaur age rocks. In Utah, a single skeleton supposedly bridged humans and dinosaurs together. The so-called Moab Man was found in sandstone near dinosaur tracks. Creationist writers promoted it as proof humans walked with giant reptiles. That means younger burials can slip into much older formations. Radiocarbon tests dated the remains to only a few centuries back. The bones also match Native American burials, not some mysterious proto-human. So, the dramatic photograph of skeleton and dinosaur tracks shared online misleads. The rocks are ancient, the person just picked a strange resting place. 24. London hammer alleged. Antediluvian tool encased inside ancient rock. A wooden-handled hammer, trapped in stone, sounded irresistibly like time travel. Near London, Texas, a couple found it partly sticking from a concretion. Photographs showed the metal head surrounded by solid, nodule-like rock. Young Earth creationist writers promoted it as a pre-flood human tool. Geologists pointed out that concretions can grow rapidly around dropped objects. The hammer's design looked like a 19th century miner's ordinary piece. Wood from the handle appeared relatively fresh, not mineralized by long burial. No documented excavation shows it emerging from undisturbed ancient rock layers. Still, the London hammer keeps swinging through sensational lists of forbidden archaeology. 25. Kinderhook plates bronze records, forged to test early Mormon leaders. Sometimes forged artifacts are less about money and more about trolling. In 1843, 6 small brass plates appeared in Kinderhook, Illinois. Local men said they had dug them from an Indian mound. The plates carried odd characters, inviting translation by church founder Joseph Smith. Accounts say Smith offered preliminary interpretations before the artifacts disappeared from view. Decades later, one perpetrator confessed they had fabricated the plates deliberately. A surviving plate tested in the 20th century matched 19th century metalworking. The episode now appears in histories as a caution about prophetic expectations. For our purposes, it is simply another carefully staged, ancient-looking hoax. 26. Nampa figurine tiny ancient doll said to come from deep well. In Idaho, a thumb-sized figurine once seemed to rewrite North American timelines. In 1889, workers drilling a well near Nampa hit something unexpected. A tiny baked clay female figure reportedly emerged from great depth. If the reported depth were accurate, humans had lived there unimaginably early. Skeptics noted drilling can drop material from surface down the borehole. The style matched native-style figurines known from relatively recent archaeological strata. No surrounding artifacts or layers were documented, only the single small piece. Later investigators emphasized how easy it was to contaminate a drilled core. Still, the Nampa figurine occasionally resurfaces in arguments about hidden human antiquity. 27. Bogus Dead Sea Scroll fragments, purchased by prestigious Bible museum. Even institutions built around scripture can end up buying very modern Bibles. In the 2000s, private collectors acquired dozens supposed Dead Sea fragments. A new Bible museum in Washington, D.C. proudly displayed many of them. Scholars soon noticed inconsistencies in handwriting and suspiciously clean margin edges. The leather looked ancient, but the ink sat strangely on top. Advanced imaging revealed modern chemicals and brush techniques, unlike genuine Qumran manuscripts. Independent panels eventually concluded that tested fragments from that group were forged. The episode showed how ancient-looking leather can carry very recent words. 28. Forged Mesopotamian cuneiform tablets, smuggled into major private collections. Thousands of cuneiform tablets began appearing on international antiquities markets and auctions. Some ended up in wealthy collectors' vaults and new religious museums. Officials later realized looters mixed genuine pieces with freshly baked forgeries. Chemical tests on some museum pieces revealed suspicious modern contamination in surfaces. Others carried improbable stories on their labels about old family ownership. As investigations widened, entire shipments were seized, and later repatriated to Iraq. The scandal blurred lines between looted antiquities and outright freshly invented history. 29. Fake Olmec jade masks, carefully aged for hungry collectors worldwide. Few ancient cultures inspire more dramatic fakes than Mexico's mysterious Olmec. Collectors love jade masks, with baby-faced features and downturned mouths. Authentic examples exist, but demand badly outstrips what museums will ever deaccession. Forgeries pour from workshops in Mexico City, carved from green stone. Aging tricks include acid baths, tumbling with gravel, and smoky fires. Experts check tool marks, drilling angles, and whether wear looks naturally random. Some masks combine features from several periods, like a greatest hits playlist. When caught, dealers often claim ignorance, blaming anonymous diggers or middlemen. Meanwhile, genuine Olmec pieces sit quietly in controlled digs and museum vaults. 30. Fake Cycladic marble idols flooded galleries as Bronze Age masterpieces. Those minimalist white figurines loved by modern artists also attract skilled forgers. Cycladic idols from Greek islands have simple bodies and folded arms. Their clean lines made them darlings of 20th century collectors and museums. Unfortunately, the same simplicity makes forgeries easier to sculpt and age. Forgers carve new idols from old marble, then roughen the surfaces. They may soak them in chemicals or bury them in gardens. Scholars now suspect a significant chunk of known Cycladic pieces are modern. That uncertainty even complicates studying genuine ones, since styles overlap suspiciously. The market's love for minimalism accidentally created a perfect forgery playground. 31. Ancient Egyptian-style coffins carved recently for tourist souvenir markets. Nothing says ancient mystery like a painted Egyptian coffin in your lobby. Tourist shops and some dealers sell antique coffins across Cairo today. Many are assembled from old planks, termite-eaten boards, and fresh paint. Hieroglyphs may repeat nonsense sequences or borrow phrases from museum postcards. Artisans sometimes smoke coffins over fires to darken and crack surfaces. Unsuspecting buyers ship them home, imagining they rescued forgotten temple treasures. Conservators later notice modern nails, plywood patches, and hardware store hinges. Sometimes genuine fragments, like old cartonnage, are glued onto new wood. The result looks ancient enough for selfies, but not for serious Egyptology. 32. Chinese tomb figurines mass-produced yesterday sold as Han Dynasty. Auction catalogs love calling small clay horses Han Dynasty, kilns oblige. Across northern China, factories crank out armies of antique tomb figurines. Workers mold soldiers, dancers, and farm animals based on museum examples. Pieces are low-fired, rubbed with dirt, and sometimes cracked intentionally. Dealers then claim they came from old family collections or countryside digs. Thermoluminescence tests can reveal fresh firing dates, but are expensive. Museums and serious buyers increasingly insist on excavation records, not charming stories. Meanwhile, souvenir shops happily sell newer pieces as decorative Han-style art. The line between replica, forgery, and decor gets blurrier with every shipment. 33. Bogus Roman glass vessels bubbled out of modern forgers' furnaces. Shimmering iridescent glass bowls practically scream ancient Rome to casual buyers. Real Roman glass sat underground for centuries, developing rainbow surface weathering. Modern forgers shortcut the process by burying fresh glass in chemicals. Then they accelerate corrosion with acids, salts, and backyard soil. Under magnification, bubbles, seams, and unweathered scratches betray recent origin. Chemical analysis can distinguish true burial layers from artificial patinas. Still, antique shops sometimes label such pieces Roman style and hope. Collectors chasing bargains often end up with freshly blown ancient conversation starters.